All right, everybody, welcome back to Agents of Comic Book Podcast. I am Paul Christian.
And I am Eric Jackson.
And we're doing more fan requests this week. We've been theming...
Yeah, good one.
We're doing like 3 in a row here where we're doing the fans sent in requests for us to do for the podcast. They choose what book we want to read or what book they want us to read, and then a movie or TV show with that same character in it. So last week we did a Black Panther book and then watched Captain America Civil War. And this week we have a fan request from Bobby, a fan of ours online, who requested that we read Batman: The Long Halloween, which is like a Batman classic.
Yeah, I'd always heard the name. This was awesome. This was my first time reading it.
Yeah, I imagine a lot of people have probably heard of it before.
Yeah, I definitely heard the name. I didn't realize that this was that's not what The Dark Knight was based on, but there are things that they kind of parallel
It's definitely one of the books that he read when he was writing the script.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I think that's why Bobby kind of paired these two together, is because they do kind of have a lot of similarities in terms of like Batman themes.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I think that'll be an interesting thing to touch on when we talk about both.
How renowned is like this in the Batman universe?
Oh, it's a huge book.
Is it like top 5 Batman?
Oh, yeah, definitely. When people talk about, like, if you ask someone like, "Well, what are like the best Batman stories I should read?" This is definitely one that people will list.
Gotcha.
It's like this Year One, and then like Killing Joke, or like Scott Snyder or Morrison's run. Like there's like some, but this is one of the key 12 issue stories for Batman. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Because it's just like, we'll talk about it more as this goes on, but it's just a really great like detective story, and that's what I love about it, because you don't get a ton of those in Batman. A lot of it's just action a lot of times.
Yeah, it's almost like a true crime thriller like happening in like live.
Right. So yeah, I mean, if you're just joining us, if this is your first episode listening, we do review one comic book story. We'll kind of discuss through it, and kind of, even if you haven't read the book, we kind of discuss a lot of the plot points as we go. So you can kind of pick up, if just from context, if you want to listen, even if you haven't read the stories. But we talk about one comic book every week. So one thing that I always recommend for people who want to read these stories along with us, and this goes for the Marvel books or the DC books, is there's really good, like DC Universe is the DC one that has pretty much like any DC book that's out there, and you can get Doom Patrol, like we talked about this in a couple episodes ago. But I mean, that's a really easy way to keep up with all the books we read every week if you want to read it along with us.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Or else, I mean, if you're a fan of the physical versions, this book will always be in print, so you can always get The Long Halloween.
Yeah, I would imagine.
Yeah. And then every week we also discuss a like I said earlier, a movie or TV show based on that same character. So if you want to follow us on Twitter, we're at Agents of Podcast. If you want to keep up there, I always let people know what we're reading upcoming if you want to know what we're reading ahead of time. And plus, I'm always tweeting about comic shit, stuff I'm reading all the time. Right now, I'm actually doing a full read through of Swamp Thing.
I was going to say, yeah, you've been on a Swamp Thing kick.
I have. I've been reading...
is that the Moore one?
No, I've read Alan Moore a couple times. What I'm trying to do now is read, like, everything else.
Okay.
So I started reading after the last issue of Alan Moore's stuff, and I've just been reading everything from there and on.
Gotcha.
There's not that much Swamp Thing material.
Okay.
There's a decent enough amount, but
enough solid.
I could conceivably read it all. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So that's kind of my goal. I might as well. I love Swamp Thing. He's probably my favorite DC character.
Yeah, I could see it.
Yeah, we'll cover that show at some point on here.
Yeah, I mean,
it's
definitely
over.
Want to.
We might as well do it.
I know. We still got to finish it too.
Yeah, there's not going to be any more. So.
Yep.
Maybe. Unlike the book, there's
one can dream.
Unlike the book, there's plenty of more. Alan Moore.
Oh God.
But like I said, this week we'll be reading the Long Halloween, so we'll be moving on to that next. We're going to discuss that whole story and then just kind of break that down.
Yeah.
So what I love about The Long Halloween is, like I touched on earlier, this is like one of the best. I would say it's one of the best like detective, like whodunit stories in comics in general. Mm-hmm. Like I think people who probably write like whodunit, like detective stories these days, like probably look at this comic and they're like, okay, what can I take from this? Like, what does this teach me?
Yeah, I was surprised. I didn't realize that it was going to have that angle like at all.
Yeah,
I thought it was just going to be more like a straightforward Batman story, but yeah, this was like a twist.
Right, and so because people always say like, oh, Batman is like the world's greatest detective, but then he just kind of figures stuff out off screen.
Yeah, exactly.
But like this is like a genuine mystery.
Yeah, and it's like playing Arkham almost.
Yeah, exactly. And I think because a lot of Arkham probably based a lot of their themes and their visual style on this too.
Oh, probably. Definitely.
And what I like about this compared to like a lot of other mystery detective stories is there's a lot of meat on the bone here for you to chew on if you want to like kind of, especially imagine if you were reading this monthly, like as it was coming out.
Oh, yeah.
Like that would have been awesome.
That would have sucked.
Yeah, but it would have been fun to like toss around theories with people every month.
Yeah, but the wait a month
Well, welcome to comic book. That's what people do. That's what people do every month.
That's why I'm glad I have like so much stuff to catch up on, and I'm not like reading current stuff.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because like for like TV shows that I love, like waiting a week is hard enough. Like a month, that's ridiculous.
Well, that's pretty much what most of our listeners probably do every month.
Well, I sympathize with all of you.
And I mean, that's kind of what I do. I mean, for people who we haven't talked about this a lot, but I don't really pull single issues anymore. I read entirely on Marvel Unlimited and the DC app.
Yeah.
And then I'll buy stuff physically if I like it.
Oh yeah, and isn't that like delayed too?
Yeah, well, that's the whole point. Is like it's 6 months delayed, but you get everything. So
okay.
So I'm still reading pretty much every Marvel book that comes out. It's just 6 months late.
So you just gotta avoid spoilers and stuff.
I mean, I don't really care about spoilers, but if people who do, yeah, they would have to avoid spoilers.
I guess, yeah.
But I mean, the spoilers in comic books, I don't really care about.
Yeah,
because half the time on the cover, it'll be like Thor dies.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, okay,
you just want to see how it happens.
Yeah, exactly. So I mean, yeah, experiencing this monthly though does kind of give you that benefit of being able to like toss around theories with friends and stuff, especially because this story does a really good job of actually giving you enough clues where you can have theories that have a lot of supporting evidence. Because a lot of mystery stories, I think, will create a mystery and then have it like by the end, it's just like something you could have never predicted because they just throw shit out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and I'm glad, like, I mean, at some point you kind of, I mean, the curtain's kind of pulled back where you know who is doing the killing to it, or at least you think you know is doing the killing. So at some point you kind of know who's doing it, but you don't exactly know for sure. But I don't know. It's a weird kind of style how it's done.
But that's what I think makes it a lot really interesting because you can kind of feel like as Batman's going through it, like he kind of like second guesses himself.
Oh yeah, well,
all the time.
Well, and then eventually once he gets to the point where he thinks it's Harvey, he's like, no, it's Harvey. There's absolutely no way it's not.
Yeah, until he's like, oh, well, maybe not.
Yeah, it's like, oh, shit.
But yeah, so I mean, what I also really like about this story is it's a very street-level Batman story. Because, Batman a lot of times gets involved in, like, this, like, really top-level, like, Justice League nonsense where it's, like, he's, like, fighting gods and aliens.
Yeah.
But what I do really like when, we just get a classic Batman story where it's, just him going street-level against, the gang mobs of Gotham City going, because the two main mobs that take precedence in this story is Carmine Falcone and his rival boss Maroni. So it's almost got kind of like a Sopranos kind of angle to it as well, like a Godfather kind of thing.
And that's what was so good about the Nolan trilogy. I mean, not so much in Dark Knight Rises, but like in Batman Begins and Dark Knight.
Batman Begins especially, yeah.
Yeah, like the mob was like heavily influenced with the story.
Yeah, Falcone's in that movie, yeah.
Yep.
And then Maroni's in The Dark Knight. We'll talk about that later, too.
Yeah.
So Maroni's in this book, too.
Yeah, so yeah, it just adds that extra element of like kind of a Godfather like mob movie type thing.
And there's a lot of like straight up Godfather references in this book too.
Oh yeah,
because we open up like at a mob wedding. It's like a gangster's wedding,
right?
Ask me anything. It opens up at Falcone's wedding, his like daughter's wedding, and Bruce Wayne is actually there as himself because a big theme that goes through this whole story too is Falcone's trying to win over Bruce Wayne, like as like a business owner.
Yeah, to launder his money.
Exactly, yeah, because he needs like a big business to put all this money through, who can conceivably make all that much money. And Bruce is just kind of playing the game just to kind of get more information and get like it's a really easy way to just get into Falcone's house.
Oh yeah, that's a prime opportunity.
Yeah. And so one thing that's cool about this too is like we talked about, this is a book that came out monthly, and it really works for this story. They play with it really cleverly too, because each issue, it's called The Long Halloween because it starts on Halloween and the book ends on Halloween.
Yep.
And each issue is a different holiday. Like it comes out like I don't know the exact release date, but I imagine they probably tried to release it around that when that holiday came out. So it like the people reading it would have been reading the Christmas issue in December, or like the Valentine's Day issue in February. So it would have been kind of a cool experience reading it. It's like getting your, like a holiday themed episode of a TV show.
Yeah, that really would have been cool.
And so that's that plays into the theme of the story too, because this whole story is about the holiday serial killer.
Okay, so wait, but they didn't release them like on the actual date of the holiday, did they?
I doubt it, no.
Because then it would have been like Christmas one week and then New Year's the next week.
Yeah, no, because comics always come out on a certain day of the week.
Yeah,
so
I would imagine
it would have just been in the vicinity.
To the day, yeah.
But yeah, because that plays into the story too, because there's the holiday killer who is killing members of the Falcone family every holiday.
So was this just like an original thing, or like has a holiday killer actually been a thing in different Batman
No,
stuff?
that's a mystery character created for this story.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's not a callback
and
to
it's
anything.
nothing that ever came back again.
I mean, it could have. I don't know.
I feel like I really hope it didn't.
I don't know if that's a story I would like to read.
No.
But
especially how like at the end. Like,
you never
still
know
not
though
exactly.
what someone's tried.
Oh yeah.
But one thing that's set up really well too is as these killings are going on during every holiday. Like I said, this does a really good job of creating a mystery that's fun to talk about because there's a lot of suspects that make sense too. I think that's the important thing.
Exactly.
Because a lot of people, because Harvey Dent is the one they really set you up for, the one they want you to think is like the most viable, that has the most clues going, and he kind of does. But then they also throw like these wild cards in there too that seem plausible. Like I think her name is
his sister,
Carla Falcone, who is
his sister.
His sister, right? And then the question is like, did she kill her own son for talking to the DA?
I know they're like, could she do the unthinkable?
Right. I mean, it's kind of an interesting question to ask. You're like, ooh, that's a cool theory. Yeah.
And like they even kind of bring it up themselves, like in conversation. They're like it could literally be a multitude of people. Like so many people would want this dude dead.
Right, because it's a gang war. Yeah, 'cause these are rival families.
Exactly.
It could just be hits like from the Maroney family.
Yep.
Because I think at some point the Maroney family starts getting hit too, though.
Or like they start suspecting that that it's one of them against each other.
And one thing that I do really like, too, about this book is it's a really good book to recommend to new people who want to get into Batman, reading Batman comics, because there's like the whole Batman Rogues gallery shows up in this story at some point, I feel like. Like every issue is like a different like famous Batman villain showing up.
Oh yeah, and one of my favorite things about this was Calendar Man, because he was basically Hannibal Lecter.
Yeah, I was gonna bring that up. Yeah, because Calendar Man gets used like Hannibal Lecter through this whole story.
I'm guessing that had to be inspired from that, right?
What do you mean? Oh, I mean,
when did this come out?
This came out
because I wonder if this was before or after Silence of the Lambs. Because there's a lot of shots that unless either one had to have taken from the other.
Yeah, and looking it up, it seems like this came after Silence of the Lambs. So at least visually, it seems like they took some cues from it, which I like.
It's awesome.
A cool take. Yeah,
no, I loved it because I obviously the only any kind of exposure I had to Calendar Man was from the little Easter eggs in Arkham games.
Yeah, because he's very goofy. But
he's kind of lame.
Yeah, but it's like in this story, it's like, this is my thing.
He literally this was his moment.
Yeah,
this is probably. When
I knew you'd come to me, Batman. One day when there was a holiday themed serial killer,
right?
It was bound to happen. I was just hoping.
Right, exactly.
And he's like, yes, all right, I really gotta milk this.
Was he ever a suspect at some point? Was Batman ever? Yeah, because Batman does. You had to have had some play in this.
Because the thing is, he at some point later on in the comic, he's just racking his brain to try to figure out what he hasn't thought of yet. And he's like, could it just be the Calendar Man? This is his MO to a T, but there's no way he could have, because I've checked the records. He hasn't left his cell, and he hadn't. So it's he even questions it though. He's like, I'm missing something, because he should be doing this, but it's not him.
Yeah, it's crazy.
And like I said, you get a taste for a lot of the Batman Rogue galleries. Joker himself shows up for a really good kind of. It's almost
Christmas.
it's almost like a 2-issue break from the story.
Yeah, he's like the Grinch.
He literally is the Grinch. I was gonna say that because he shows up on Christmas Eve and he's even rhyming like the Grinch.
Yeah,
he literally just steals everyone's presents and leaves the house. It's like, come on, man.
It's hilarious.
He ties up the family. They're like, "What are you gonna do, you psycho?" He's like, "I'm gonna steal your presents."
Well, hey, if you're a citizen in Gotham and you have to go your whole life hoping you never have an encounter with the Joker, and that ends up being your encounter, I would be completely content with that.
Yeah, that's true. He's probably not going to come back. That'd be boring for him.
Right? It's all right, so our Christmas sucks, but at least we don't have our faces chopped up.
Yeah, we got our Joker visit out of the way, and it was pretty easy.
That's off the books now.
Yeah, and Joker's take on this is pretty fun too, because he's upset because the holiday killer is taking so much of Batman's attention.
Yeah, he Highlanders it.
Yeah, so he's literally trying to help Batman catch the holiday killer in his own twisted way.
There can only be one.
Yeah, because at one point he even tries to poison everyone in Gotham. He's like, I'll catch the holiday killer. I just have to kill everyone.
Yeah, he's like, one of them has to be him.
He's like, you're crazy. He's like, I'm trying to help you, Batman.
I'm the good guy.
Yeah, it's kind of an interesting, fun take for the Joker.
He's not wrong. It's not right.
He's like, his theory is that the holiday killer is at this holiday event in maybe
probably a decent probability, because if there's a bunch of mobsters there, then
yeah, I guess. But Batman's still gonna be like, yeah, man, no.
I'm not saying you should have done it.
Yeah, and then Poison Ivy cleverly makes her entrance in this story very briefly as well.
Yeah, it's a cool appearance.
Because Falcone has it's kind of an interesting strategy, actually. He's like, listen, I need someone to help me with the Batman, so I'm just going to pay all these supervillains who regularly go toe-to-toe with him to do my work for me. They're going to be my new hitmen.
Which is what happens kind of in The Dark Knight, too.
A little bit.
I mean, they kind of have to at some point. But.
Right, because he cleverly uses Poison Ivy. He's like, listen, I need Bruce Wayne to buy my stuff so I can launder this money.
Yeah.
So why don't you just go seduce him? And she's like, okay, like I'll do my plant stuff.
Which seemed a little too easy.
A little bit, yeah, I guess. I don't know. They don't quite show how she gets to Bruce.
I mean, it seemed like she just like surrounded him with Ivy and then just like kind of put him in a trance with like a weird mist.
Yeah, and it's kind of unclear if Poison Ivy knows who Batman is. It doesn't seem like she does, but how could she not if she like caught him? You know what I mean?
Well, I think she just went to Bruce Wayne's place.
I know, but it seems it's weird. I don't know.
And how long did that last? Because if
it lasted until because Catwoman saves him.
Yeah, it was like a month.
Yeah, it was a long time.
So that means Batman was just MIA for like a month.
Yeah, why didn't Alfred say something?
I don't know.
Where was Alfred?
I'm hoping like tied up somewhere.
Yeah, I don't know.
Otherwise, unless he was under the spell, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. They don't really say.
Yeah, it seemed a little too easy, but I'll roll with it.
Yeah, because it's like it works for a little bit, but then Catwoman frees him, and then so that's out. One thing that I thought was clever too is he's because Falcone wants to figure out who the Holiday Killer as much as anyone because his people are dying.
Yeah.
So he actually pays the Riddler. He's like, "You're a genius, right? You solve mysteries. Like,
yep.
This is a big riddle. Figure out who did it, or else I'll kill you."
No pressure.
Yeah, and the Riddler's like, and like he can't really figure it out himself.
Yeah, he's like, there's a line at some point. It's like, if your life depended on it, who would you say it is?
Yeah, and he actually says something funny. He's like, Carmine Falcone. He's like, you. And he's like, huh, that's funny. Take him out back and kill him.
Yeah.
and you know, if a lot of people, the people who think that Alberto Falcone did the crimes, I mean, they would technically be right.
Yeah.
Because if Alberto Falcone was doing all the holiday killings, that means Carmine was behind it.
Really?
That's what some people theorize.
I guess I never thought about that. Yeah.
Like at one point, Carmine could have taken over and started calling the shots.
Well,
that's not my theory.
Well, and Batman even says it at some point.
Mm-hmm.
He's like, how could he not know?
Right. But yeah, so Riddler goes out back and they're going to kill the Riddler for not doing his work. And then the Holiday Killer shows up and shoots the person.
Yep.
And then Riddler thinks the Holiday Killer is about to kill him. And it's kind of like a joke because the holiday that the Riddler is on is April Fool's. So that he or she doesn't kill the Riddler and just walks off. And Riddler's like, oh.
Yeah, what's the line? He's like, what kind of killer doesn't kill or something like that?
Mm-hmm.
I can't remember it exactly.
Yeah,
it's something along those lines.
And then Batman goes to the calendar man, and he's like, of course there wasn't a killing. It's April Fool's. Don't you get it?
So wait, so does that mean that the Riddler saw who the Holiday Killer was, so he knows?
Yeah, well, they bring it up later, but he doesn't squeal.
Okay.
So either he didn't see, or he just doesn't want to say.
Gotcha.
I mean, that could just be his thing.
Yeah, it's his own secret. He doesn't want anyone else to know the answer.
He doesn't want to talk to the cops. It's a criminal thing, yeah.
Well, yeah.
And one thing I do want to talk about, too, is like the art for this, because Tim Sale is like a really renowned comic book artist. And like one thing I really like about it is because like not all the faces always look quite right, but the art is just like stylized in a way that it makes some characters just work so much better.
Oh yeah, it pops.
Yeah, especially like Carmine Falcone and a lot of like the imposing like gangsters. They'll have like odd looking faces that add
like super sharp features.
Yeah, like Falcone has like a really like tall, skinny head, almost like the leader in the Hulk.
Yep.
Yeah. And like it really works for a lot of like the Batman villains too, like Solomon Grundy and like Scarecrow looks awesome. His Joker is really great with a lot of teeth.
Oh yeah, his teeth are nasty.
Yeah.
Well, no, the Solomon Grundy part was really cool, and then like
we didn't talk about that because that was sweet.
I know when Batman drops off the Thanksgiving dinner for him.
Yeah,
that was awesome.
I like nice Batman because a lot of people do this dark like I want to destroy the world Batman. But,
yeah,
like, Batman is like a nice guy. That's like the whole point.
Yeah, like deep down, like he cares about people.
Right,
like he cares about all life.
Right, and Solomon Grundy is like it's not like his fault, like what he is, like he's been cursed. So
yeah, exactly.
Like I mean, in his past life, he was a murderer. But
yeah,
like, Solomon Grundy isn't that man anymore.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
Literally. So like he's like, all right, Solomon Grundy's gonna be alone on Thanksgiving. I'm gonna bring him a meal, and I'm like, oh, that's great.
Yeah, it was awesome.
And speaking of sweet moments, there's a really great Father's Day issue in this too.
Oh yeah.
Because
and a Mother's Day.
Yeah, the Mother's Day one.
Trippy.
The Mother's Day one is let's talk about that one first because that one comes first.
Yeah.
Because the Mother's Day one was the part I really liked about that one was Scarecrow gets free in that one.
Well, his design is awesome in this one.
Yeah, Scarecrow looks like a scarecrow because there's like straw coming out of his head.
Yeah.
Like because there's a straw decoy that goes and Batman like catches it, but it like sprays mist and then the actual Scarecrow gets away.
Okay. Oh yeah, that's right. You're right.
Because that's the part I wanted to talk about is like Batman gets hit by the
right.
fear toxin.
Yep, gets a little dose.
Yeah, but then he goes off as Bruce Wayne because I think he's still like hallucinating. So he's just like, I'm gonna just be myself. I'm gonna go for a stroll.
Yeah.
And at this point, like Harvey and Gordon are also like running out of ideas for who Holiday could be. So they are like going to like question Bruce Wayne because they're like, that's one of their suspects is Bruce Wayne at this point because they're like running out of options. So they run into Bruce Wayne at this place, incidentally at Crime Alley where his parents died.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, stop. And Bruce Wayne is still like hallucinating. And he's like, they're coming to kill me again. The pearls.
Oh God,
Yeah,
yes.
And he like runs away and like leaps through the city. And they're like, where the fuck did he go?
He's literally just a crazed man drugged out of his mind.
Yeah. And there's a weird part too where he's like remembering when his parents died. And he's like, my mom wasn't going to wear pearls to the movie.
Oh, yeah.
But I asked her to because I wanted her to look pretty. I'm like,
he's like, oh, she only wears them on special occasions. And he's like, well, why can't we make this a special occasion?
it's a weird thing for
like,
a little kid to say. Why
yeah.
would a little kid care?
Like, yeah, why would a little kid care about like some fancy pearls?
Yeah.
Like, wear the pearls, mother.
That's one thing that's a little bit weird in that when I read this, I was like, that's a really forced way to like make him feel extra guilty.
I know, right? I mean, unless it's just weird rich people stuff, but
I don't know. But and then later in the Father's Day episode, a part that I really like, because I was hoping this would happen too, where like Alfred even has a line, because Alfred is basically like Bruce's dad. So I was really hoping they would have like a moment with Alfred, and he kind of does, because like Bruce is spending all this time like being sad about his father, and Alfred's like, listen, it's okay if you're sad about him, that's fine.
Yeah, exactly.
And he's like, sometimes I think about like, being a father too. And like, if I fucked it up and I'm like, oh shit. Cause he's like,
right.
Like, am I doing the right thing by letting you be Batman? Like, I think that's a really interesting question.
Oh, I know. I love it when they kind of play that with like Alfred, because Alfred like feels responsible for everything that happens to Bruce.
Right. He's like, Bruce is out here doing all these good things, but should I have just been a father? Like, let him live a normal life.
Yeah.
So I think that's a really great moment too. This comic also gives us a really good origin for Two-Face as well, because Harvey Dent's in this whole movie. That's kind of one of the biggest parallels between that and The Dark Knight.
Yeah, Harvey Dent was like the best part about this comic almost.
Yeah, I think so too, because it's a really great, it's kind of like a complete arc for him.
It's basically like a Roman like tragedy almost for him.
Oh, for sure, absolutely.
Like, it's crazy.
Because it starts out with him like kind of trying to do things the right way, and I mean, we don't know where exactly he slipped up, but eventually like he started like being okay with like wanting to kill criminals.
Yeah.
And
and they allude to it kind of at some points.
Yeah, and some people like, because we don't know for sure who did all of the holiday killings. We know some of them for sure, but like a lot of people do throw out like Harvey Dent could have done some of them, which is plausible.
Oh, definitely.
For some of them at least.
Exactly.
Because this one kind of, they even at a point like they think Maroni's gonna flip like and give up people to the DA.
Yeah.
And he's on trial about to give his testimony, and Harvey is in, and it's almost like the classic Harvey Dent Two-Face origin, but instead of the Joker doing it, it's Maroni throwing poison in Harvey's face, and that's how he becomes Two-Face.
Well, acid, yeah.
Or whatever it is.
Same thing.
So Falcone, his strategy was to pay a bunch of supervillains to kind of do his work for him, but it kind of ends up biting him in the ass in the end, because by the time Harvey Dent goes full Two-Face mode, he's paid off all the supervillains himself. He kind of creates his own like Legion of Doom.
Like, pretty damn quick.
Yeah, he creates like he unites all the Batman villains like together, like pretty tight knit. And Catwoman is almost there as like a double agent, which is pretty cool. He's got Solomon Grundy there, Mad Hatter, like pretty much everyone we've seen over the course of this, Scarecrow, Joker, they're all there, and they're like, listen, we're gonna take out Falcone, then we're gonna take the city. Like, this is gonna be ours.
Yep.
Yeah. So then Falcone ends up getting killed by the Holiday Killer, who ends up being, Falcone gets killed by Dent. During this scene as well, so he's out. So that's another thing that kind of like shows that this isn't really canon. One part I did kind of have a problem with is one of the final the final holiday killing is Maroni himself, because Maroni, like we talked about, was arrested. Like he was the one, he threw acid at Harvey's face in the courtroom, so he's still under arrest.
Yep.
And they're like transferring him like to a different place to like keep him more secure. And this is a part I have a big problem with, because the Holiday Killer attacks, but it ends up being Alberto Falcone. Like, you see him finally, and you're like, oh, this is the Holiday Killer. Like, we found him.
Yep.
Because this whole thing ends up being a stakeout.
Yeah, it's a setup.
Yeah, because one of the people guarding Maroni on his way down to transfer is Batman himself. So Batman like starts fighting him, and he's like, I got you, Holiday. Like, you're mine.
Yep.
Which, one thing I have a problem with is it seems like he could have easily stopped the Holiday Killer from killing Maroni, because Maroni dies. Maroni gets shot and is killed. So Batman just lets him get shot, and then he's like, now you're under arrest. I feel like he could have heard him coming or something.
Yeah, I mean, maybe he didn't want to play his hand too early. I don't know.
Seems Batman. Come on, man.
I mean, he probably wasn't overly concerned.
He's towing the line.
Oh, he's definitely towing the line. It's definitely teetering on the edge.
He's like, Batman, it seems like you could have saved his life. No, I was too slow.
Well, it wasn't me, but it's my one rule.
My one rule is that sometimes I'll choose not to save people. That's kind of like killing him. It's splitting hairs.
Not technically, no.
Yeah, so they catch Alberto Falcone, who he confesses to being the holiday killer, but the interesting thing about this is we haven't talked about Alberto a lot, but he was kind of like the good member of the family, but then so because of that, Carmine didn't really respect him.
Yeah, he was like what would they call the good son or
yeah,
whatever.
Exactly. So he wasn't in the family business.
Yeah, he was the Fredo.
Yeah, exactly. So it almost seems like he did this final killing, and then now he just wants to take credit for all the holiday killings.
Yeah, exactly.
To impress his dad.
Yep.
And that's what I think a lot of people think. That's kind of how they set it up.
That it makes a lot of sense.
And so that's kind of now that we're towards the end of it, I kind of want to talk about the mystery in general because we've talked about the main players, I think, because we'll talk about it also at the very end. Gilda even confesses to herself that she was the holiday killer, like Harvey's wife.
Yeah,
she's burning like these materials so she at least did one or like she did some of them.
I think she at least did a couple.
Yeah, I think she was the initial holiday killer at the very least.
Yeah, and then they just picked it up from there.
Yeah, so I mean, we talked about this being like that's the one thing that's not set up super well is they don't throw out a lot of clues that Gilda could have been the killer, but looking back on it, that is definitely possible.
Yeah, because like reading through the story at the end, like it just came out of nowhere. I was like, wait, what?
And so I mean, I think Gilda is the most possible because, like I said, they really set up Alberto Falcone to have a motive to like take credit for the killings, but not necessarily to do all of them.
Yeah.
But the only thing that also doesn't make a lot of sense is Gilda definitely stops doing the killing at some point.
Yeah.
Because there's no way that she killed Big Lou Maroney.
Well, she even says like you picked up where I started.
Yeah, so someone picked up. So my theory is that it was initially Gilda and then Harvey took over after.
Yeah.
Because Alberto, initially when you're reading this, you think Alberto Falcone is one of the people who was murdered, but he's not. He faked his own death.
Yeah, so he had to at least be one of the ones before he faked his own death.
Yeah.
Unless he faked his own death to be able to murder someone, maybe.
Well, that's what some people think. The people
Yeah.
who think Alberto did it, that's what they say, is he faked his own death to go on a killing spree.
Yeah.
But I think Harvey, because there's a lot of clues set up that hint that Harvey and Gilda were doing it together. Because that's one thing Calendar Man suggests, too.
Oh, yeah.
Because Calendar Man
Well,
suddenly...
he even says she, under his first
Well,
pick.
that's the first thing, too. But then he subtly suggests that she is not doing it alone either. Because he's like, Harvey Dent, he's a Gemini, isn't it?
Yep.
Number 2, he always works in twos.
The twins.
Yep. So that's a really big hint, I think. And later on, Harvey Dent even says the holiday killer was 2 people.
Yep.
And he's referencing him killing Falcone, but if you look at it a different way,
Yeah, exactly.
it could be that him and Gilda were always kind of working together, even if they didn't know it initially.
Oh, yeah, I think it was unconsciously, but they
Yeah.
definitely were.
Yeah, exactly.
Because they both had like the same idea and the same motive.
So I think that's the theory that's the one I support, is where it's like Gilda started and Harvey did the second half,
Yeah.
and then Alberto did the final one.
Yeah, I like that theory the best.
But again, that's why this comic is so great, is because you can sit here and talk about all the details and be like, well, this thing doesn't add up, but this one's the most plausible. Could Gilda have been here at this time? Could Harvey have been there? Could Alberto? Like, there's a lot of really good questions.
Exactly. And the fact that it could literally other people that they're not even showing you as options too.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, like it's people.
Carla for a while was
Carla,
a
yeah,
really good theory too.
Because there are like scenes where she's just going like bat crazy.
Right.
And
yeah.
it's like yeah, she could probably kill someone.
Yeah,
and like a holiday comes up and they're like, well, might as well. And then it's like, oh, it's on a holiday. It had to be the holiday killer.
Or a lot of people are probably theorizing like Calendar Man's getting out of Arkham like some clever way. Like,
yeah,
that was probably a big theory too.
Oh yeah.
Because like they could have easily wrapped it up by saying, yeah, Calendar Man had a secret tunnel or something dumb like that.
Yeah.
Even though they didn't. But yeah, that's The Long Halloween. I mean, we were both obviously big fans of that story. That's probably one of the best stories we've covered so far.
Yeah, it was great.
I mean, that's just a given, though. I mean, this is The Long Halloween. It's a very famous Batman story.
Yep.
And Loeb and Sim Sale have both done a lot of books together, which are highly, I recommend For All Seasons, Superman, all the color books, Spider-Man Blue, Captain America White, Daredevil Yellow. Actually, I haven't read the Captain America one, but I think a lot of people like it.
Okay.
But Daredevil Yellow is really good. That's one of my favorite Daredevil things. And For All Seasons is great. So I recommend pretty much all their books together.
Yeah, I'm glad I got this one checked off the list.
Oh, yeah. No, this is a classic. But after this, we're going to be talking about, as requested from Bobby, we're going to be watching The Dark Knight, because it actually has a lot of similar themes to this book we just talked about.
Oh, yeah.
So it'll be kind of interesting to talk about, like, especially with Harvey, kind of how those tie in. So we'll be talking about The Dark Knight next. So yeah, we actually just watched The Dark Knight just before we were recording this, so it's really fresh. We decided to watch the movie and then hop right on Mike afterwards.
Yeah, and I probably haven't seen that movie in a good, 8 years, maybe.
Yeah, I remember watching it when it came out. Like, obviously, when it came out, like,
yeah,
I mean,
in
most people listening to this probably saw it in theaters when it came out, or I saw it soon after, I imagine.
Yeah, I'm sure everyone's seen it.
But yeah, I saw the movie probably 3 or 4 times right when it came out, because I loved it.
Yeah,
when it came out.
Oh yeah.
So I saw it a bunch of times, but then I haven't revisited it in a long time. I think just because The Dark Knight Rises kind of left a sour taste in my mouth.
I know, it kind of spoiled it just a tad.
Yeah, so going back, I'm like, I don't know. And kind of as I've gone on, I've kind of grown to appreciate Batman Begins a little bit more too.
Oh, Batman Begins is great.
So I've rewatched that movie a little bit more often than I've rewatched The Dark Knight.
I can't say it's better than The Dark Knight, but it's at least on par.
It might be a better Batman movie though.
Yeah, for sure.
I think The Dark Knight is probably objectively a better movie, but I think Batman Begins is a better Batman movie.
Yeah.
But we're here to talk about The Dark Knight.
Yeah.
The Dark Knight opens up, I mean, because this movie has a lot to do with, it shares even a lot of similar scenes with The Long Halloween. Like, we get a scene of, Harvey and Batman and Gordon all on the rooftop together, which is straight out of The Long Halloween.
Yep.
Which I really loved.
Gotta do it the right way.
Yep, and they even kind of hint at Harvey's origin early on in the movie, where Harvey Dent is trying to arrest Salvatore Maroni himself. Yep, the guy who throws the acid at him in the book we just talked about, and he pulls a gun on him this time, and he's like, "Yeah, we're taking you out this time, Harvey." And then the gun jams.
Yeah, well, it's a witness.
True, you're right. It's not Maroni himself.
Assumed he's gonna finger Maroni, but then
because Maroni's sitting there watching it, knowing that he gave the order. So it's basically him. But it's a different take on that scene.
Yeah, it's a cool scene.
Yeah, because then the gun jams, and then Harvey's like, "No, I'm the boss now."
That's
Boom.
such a cheesy line. It's it's like, if you wanted to kill me, you should have gone American made. Yeah, it's like a gun made in China. It's like, okay, dude,
American gun pride. Yeah, that's one thing we need.
Captain America over here.
We take pride in our guns.
I know.
Is that really?
Really?
Oh, okay, sure. Whatever. I don't know if I like that. And one thing that I did, we'll just throw it out there right now. I mean, the Joker is obviously great in this movie. He pretty much holds the whole thing up.
Oh, yeah, it's that legendary performance.
But a lot of, his schemes look really cool, and they seem really clever as they're happening. But when you look at it, it's like, how the fuck did he pull these things off?
It's miraculous.
2 of them in particular, this opening one is ridiculous. It starts out pretty plausible. They disable the alarms,
cut the alarm.
It seems like they're trying to get in and out. But then the way they're going to get out, I don't know why they couldn't just run out the front door. The alarms never went off.
Run out the back. Yeah. No one was looking for him.
But the Joker, orders, a bus to blow through the wall.
Yep.
And then he gets in with all the bags after killing, all the other members of the heist. And then they drive out and join this other convoy of buses. But when they pull out of the bank, you see that was right on a main street. So for a good 2 or 3 minutes, there was just a bus that flew into a bank with a big hole in it. People would have been pulled over. Been like, what the hell is happening?
Literally a third of the bus sticking into a building.
Yeah, it would have stopped everything.
Are the children okay?
People would have been like, holy crap.
That would have shut down the entire block.
Yeah, you're not making a casual getaway after that.
It literally drives out of the building and then just dives right into the line of buses.
Yeah, traffic would have been a dead stop.
Oh yeah, it's ridiculous.
But it looks cool, so I guess
it looks awesome.
I guess it's the rule of cool.
It's comic universe.
Yeah, it's the rule of cool.
Oh yeah.
And one of the opening scene we get with Batman too is pretty cool because it's Scarecrow from the first movie who I really liked. And this is one line I just noticed watching it now. I don't think I ever noticed it on my earlier playthroughs, or on my earlier watch-throughs.
Yeah.
The reason why they're upset with him is because he's selling drugs that are giving people the fear toxin.
Yeah, he's trying to sell it like acid.
Yeah, I never picked up on that before, so I'm like, oh shit! People don't like your drugs, man.
I know. Is that just because? Yeah, why was he doing that? Was he just trying to make a little money?
That's never gonna work though if people don't like it.
No, that would never work.
And then he's like, if you don't like the product, buy something else. It's like, oh, okay, I will.
Who the hell's gonna buy that?
Yeah, it's better to buy nothing than buy nightmare toxin.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
There's maybe one really metal guy who's like, I want more nightmare toxin.
I want to go to hell.
You want to trip to hell with me, bro? Just plays metal music.
Right.
More Scarecrow toxin.
Oh, people would definitely do that.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
Yeah, there's some idiots that would totally do that.
Jim Gordon goes to the commissioner's office and he's like, hey, Commissioner, like, we think there's a threat on your life. You need protection. Like, we have a unit here to protect you. You're not leaving this office.
Yep.
And he's like, well, I know how to handle these situations. And he takes like this bottle of whiskey out of his desk and he's like, let's get drunk, boys.
Yeah, like this guy had his priorities straight.
Yeah, he's like, woo, surfs up. Like, he doesn't even give a shit. Like, he doesn't think twice about it, the threat on his life.
He like even says like, this happens all the time.
Yeah.
It's like, all right, I mean, you're prepared.
And the way he gets killed is because Joker poisoned the bottle. So,
Barely he knew he was just a raging alcoholic.
yeah, so he had intel like, dude, trust me, if you tell him there's a threat on his life, he's going for that bottle.
Oh,
Trust me.
first thing.
That's how you kill him.
Without fail.
Yeah, so they got him easily just by going for the bottle.
Yeah, and I just like connected how ridiculous it is how they got the judge, because they literally show up to her house. They're like, ma'am, like, you're the judge of a mafia investigation that is like the fucking biggest thing happening in this city right now. Like, we need you to come with us for protection. She's like, oh, I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, I'll just meet you there. And like, oh yeah, just get into your own personal car that's definitely not been targeted.
Oh,
and
yeah, why did she do
starts
that?
the car, instantly blows up.
Why does she do that?
She's an idiot.
I want to drive I have Bluetooth. I have all my podcasts on there. I need to listen to Agents of Comic Book.
Right? The best podcast on the planet. But it's like, seriously, lady, like, you're the judge of a mafia case.
You think she would know better? She's probably like worked cases where people died from that.
Oh yeah, in Gotham City. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Jeez.
And another one of Joker's schemes that kind of goes off a little bit more, that goes off a little better than it should have, is like the part where like they fake Gordon's death. Because like there's a bunch of like Joker's goons in the firing squad of when they think the mayor's under threat, and somehow nobody notices that a bunch of like escaped like insane criminals from literally from Arkham Asylum, are like just perfectly posing as these soldiers, like who know how to do all the military stances and like not stand out.
And here's another like testament to Joker's like master like craft of like taking any person and making them like the perfect criminal.
Yeah, exactly.
They like perfectly imitate police officers, do like a funeral procession, 21 gun salute.
Well, yeah, these guys are part of like the performance, so I would think there'd be a bunch of hilarious parts where like they're not doing the steps right now.
Right?
Hey, soldier, what are you doing?
Well, like, and it turns out that one of the guys has like paranoid schizophrenia. Like, how are these guys not just bumbling around like waving their guns like, oh, what are we doing?
Yeah, exactly. Like, how are they like doing all these perfect like police motions?
Yeah, it would just be chaos.
And like one of them like has his face like carved up like the Joker.
Well, no, that is the Joker.
Oh, was it? Was his face like?
Yeah, one of them's actually, he just wasn't wearing makeup.
I never realized that was actually him because his
no
face
way,
is
you
washed
never knew
off.
that?
No, I thought he just
crazy.
carved up one of his henchmen.
No, that's actually him.
Yeah, I just didn't even recognize him without the makeup.
That's him without the makeup.
So nobody noticed literally so the Joker I can believe could maybe do the moves because he's like kind of like an actor.
Yeah.
He's kind of like weirder.
But they must have been practicing that choreography like all night.
Yeah, maybe. You know what? Maybe he's all prep time. Maybe he's just like Batman.
Could be.
And Harvey Dent, kind of just like The Long Halloween, is the first one out of those three on the rooftop to start taking things too far. Because like in The Long Halloween, they all agree like we're gonna do this right. Like we gotta like do this kind of by the book. But Harvey like grabs one of these like escaped criminals who tried to kill the mayor and
steals an ambulance.
Oh yeah, and somehow escapes with the door open.
Yeah, literally gets out of the back with the door open, gets in the driver's seat and drives away. This guy's in a gurney with wheels.
Oh, I guess he was handcuffed to it, so he's probably like, "Ah!"
So the bed could have fallen out, but he's just dragging it.
But he like has a revolver.
No, wait. I think he was handcuffed to the bed. The rolling bed.
Oh yeah, so he was like, "Oh shit,
yeah, he's screwed."
But yeah, Harvey like takes a revolver and he's like, "We're gonna play Russian roulette, but I'm gonna flip for your life every time."
Yep.
And Batman shows
up,
but
it's a double-sided coin,
right? Because his coin at this point is like a loaded coin. Both sides are heads.
Yeah.
So he's just kind of threatening. I don't think he was gonna kill him at this point.
I don't think Batman knew that because Batman's like, "You risk a man's life like on a coin flip." He's like, "Not exactly."
And even if he wasn't, I think Batman would have a problem with him waving a gun at a criminal.
It's still fucked up.
Yeah.
If he pointed a loaded gun at a man's head.
Yeah, so I think Batman would like take that thing and be like crunch.
Yeah, exactly.
This movie kind of does eventually get to the origin of Two-Face, although it comes a little bit later than I would have hoped.
Yeah, it does not last long.
No, because I wanted more like kind of the Two-Face role we had in the long, because it happens pretty late in the Long Halloween, but you do get a significant part of the story where it's like him as Two-Face doing stuff.
It's at least like a third.
A little bit, yeah. This movie is like literally he goes and does one thing.
It's like the last 20 minutes.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah.
Because like the Two-Face looks awesome in this.
It looks great. It's
a great like way to imagine Two-Face in live action.
I'm even curious. I'm pretty sure most of that was makeup, but I'm sure some of
it's
the
practical.
eye was probably CGI because I had to move.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure most of that was practical.
Yeah, as much of it as possible. Yeah, Nolan always tries to do practical stuff, which is why his movies always look so good.
That's
even
the way to
sci-fi
go.
stuff, right?
Definitely the way to go.
Yeah, because in Harvey's origin, like he's tied to the chair, and then half of his face burns off.
Yeah.
And then that's when Rachel explodes.
Yep.
And then she leaves a letter for Bruce to read. It seems like almost conveniently knowing she was gonna die. Like, why would she leave a letter? That seems weird.
I mean, because like it was like after they kissed, but then but then she's like, okay, well, like I'm with Harvey, like I want to marry Harvey.
But I'm just imagining her leaving the letter like, in case I blow up, I want you to read this.
It's like
It probably won't happen, but if I ever blow up,
it's like the best worst timing.
Yeah, right.
Like for a letter.
it's like, well, I mean, you just blew up, so I guess I'll read the letter now.
Right.
But then like, you pointed out while we were watching it.
Oh yeah, because she gives it to Alfred because Bruce is doing Batman stuff. So then, like after everything happens, like Bruce Wayne's literally like sitting in a chair, like,
right.
And Alfred, well, when he gets to the letter, he literally reads the letter.
Yeah, Alfred's sitting in a fire and opens the letter like that was sealed like for Bruce, and he's like, I'm just gonna read. I'm very curious.
Just reads his private love breakup letter.
Move,
basically,
man.
it's real. And
I gotta read my kids' letters first.
Yeah, it's literally a dad reading his kids' letters.
And he doesn't even show Bruce the letter.
Well, and the funniest thing is he puts the letter on the tray with his breakfast and he brings it over, and then Bruce is like, oh yeah, everyone's fucking dead. Like I screwed up really bad. Like I'm like the lowest I've ever been. And then Alfred he's like, oh, I'll just take that letter. And he's like, it can wait.
Yeah, I mean,
but originally he was gonna give him that. Yeah. After she just blew up.
Yeah, right.
And he knew what it said. He's a monster.
Yeah, Alfred's a little questionable there. And there's one of my favorite scenes in this movie actually is Joker's scheme to blow up the boats.
Yeah, it's a great
because he's like, we're gonna do a social experiment. Like one of you, there's a bomb on each boat. If you blow up you each have one detonator. If you blow up the other boat, I'll spare you and you can live. And one boat is filled with prisoners who they're trying to get off the island.
Yep.
And the other boat is filled with I guess just refugees who could afford a boat ticket.
Yeah.
Who are trying to get out of the city. So all the rich people, I imagine.
I at least like the well-off to do.
Right. Or maybe people who just bought a ticket a long time ago and they're like, this worked out for me.
Which thinking back to that, there were men on that boat. So you're telling me that
it's not women and children first?
Yeah, they let all the women and children out of New York.
Sorry, honey.
Yeah, my bad.
Take care of the kids for me.
So if there were men on that boat, then yeah, it had to be like money.
It was probably, it had to be people who bought tickets and then they're like, sorry, we don't have any more tickets
first
left.
Come, first
yeah,
serve.
exactly.
So yeah, if you're a man on that boat, you're an asshole.
You should give up your ticket. Yeah.
You should give your ticket to a little girl or like a little child.
Yeah, someone who should be, although maybe not. I mean, it didn't work out because there's a bomb on the boat. But
yeah.
They didn't know that.
Exactly.
But the reason I like this scene is because Joker's whole point is he's gonna try to prove to Batman no, everyone's crazy like me. It's kind of like, this is almost like the setup of the Killing Joke, where it's like all it takes is one bad day and they'll turn and they'll kill too. That's all it takes.
What's it saying? Everyone's 3 missed meals away from a revolution or something like
that.
Right,
exactly. Yeah. So that's what he's trying to prove, and and I almost like this better than the Killing Joke because this proves Batman right, where it's Batman is because on the boat with the prisoners, one of the prisoners takes the detonator from the guard and throws it out the window.
Yeah, he's like, give it to me. I can do what you can't do. So it's it's looking like he's gonna press the button and kill the other people.
Right, but then he throws it out the window. It's no, we got to do the right thing.
Yeah,
and then the people on the other boat, one asshole almost
literally
on a civilian boat. Yeah,
some 50-year-old dude shouldn't even be on the boat.
Yeah.
Yeah, he walks up and he's like, it's fine, if no one else wants to do it, I'll do it.
Yeah, it's Dave, sit down, you're being an asshole.
It's come on, Dave, you're just an accountant. Sit down.
Screw it, I'll kill him, I don't give a shit.
Right? This guy's a monster.
And he goes up to turn the switch and then at the last second decides not to and sits back down. I'm just imagining that guy going back to work the next day. It's hey, Dave, you almost killed all those people back there. He's no, I put it down.
I wasn't ever gonna.
It came really close, though, didn't
it? It was literally the last second.
It's a little weird, man.
I hope that guy's family wasn't there, because if his family's there, they have to leave.
Yeah, they on that boat they left it to a vote, and there's a bunch of people who probably voted yes who now just feel like a real asshole.
Well, and what was the vote 300 some for blow it up?
It was overwhelming to blow it up. Yeah,
it was ridiculous.
So Joker at that part, I guess, was a little right. It just took one person.
I mean, it's kind of the same thing as
but no one had the guts to actually hit the button.
It's it's like social. It's like Twitter. It's people can say what they want when there's no consequences, or it's anonymous.
Yeah, but then they're like, okay, push the button. They're like,
no.
Right.
Yeah.
So I guess they, but then that's one thing. But then Batman even says like, no, we're not like you. Like you wanted to prove like we're all like you, but that's not how it is. And that's kind of what I like about this more than the Killing Joke, is the Killing Joke seemingly ends with him being like, okay, I'll be crazy. I'll take you out and I'll
Oh, man. That kind of gives me some hope. That's almost like an allegory for like social media. It's like the world like isn't as like much of an asshole as people come off on Twitter and stuff like that. It's just like, but in real life, they're not as bad as they are.
Right. It's like, put it in their hands. They won't let you down. I'm
exactly.
Like, all right, Batman.
Like
I got you.
That's a great story.
Yeah. It is a really touching scene. Like Batman has a lot of good lines there, but why is his voice always so terrible?
Oh yeah, I should have said that at the top. I love the Nolan trilogy. Christian Bale is great in every other aspect, but the voice, I can't do it.
Because it ruins every like powerful, when he has like a good line, like a line that's like meant to like shake you. It's like, dude, turn the voice thing off.
We
need to prove
it's not a voice thing. He just like growls.
It is a voice thing.
Oh, it
is. In the first movie, he's testing it out. Like he's creating a voice modulator.
But in real life, did they do that? Or
it's like a filter.
Oh, that's not just him going like, oh, I'm Batman.
It might also be that.
Because that's
probably a combination of the two.
Because it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, but it ruins every... He's like, I learned that we need to be better than our neighbors. It's like, dude, you're not selling the line.
It's like, dude, if Superman doesn't have to change his voice without wearing a mask, like, you don't need to hide your voice.
Superman can be inspiring because he's like, no, like, I'm just going to talk to you like a human.
Well, like, he doesn't even, like, wear a mask. Like, if anyone's going to be, like, given away by their appearance or their voice, it's going to be Superman.
Yeah.
Like, dude, you're wearing a mask. You're good. You don't have to change your voice.
Yeah, you, like, just relax a little bit.
It's a one decision, man. Someone should make an edit where they just take Christian Bale's voice and modify it to like fit the lines.
So yeah, I mean, I love this movie. I mean,
I still love it. It's still the best.
Yeah, it's a really good Batman movie, and like a lot of the things like we talked about tie into the Long Halloween too, with the whole investigation, and like even Batman Begins ties in a little bit with Long Halloween. I think. Bit too, with the Falcone stuff.
Yep, and it's still best live action Joker.
Oh yeah,
still
for
the best.
Sure.
Joaquin was great, but Heath Ledger's still the best.
Yeah, this one felt a lot more like comic book Joker.
Exactly.
Because when we talked about Joker, I kind of counted Heath a little bit lower because I
did. That was recency bias.
Yeah, it was recency.
For sure.
Well, I didn't rate him lower than Joaquin, but I rated them lower than all the.
No, I didn't rate him lower either, but I kind of put him on.
But
I
rated them lower than Troy Baker only because like I like the classic Joker better. But this one is closer to the classic Joker than I remembered.
It is, yeah.
Because he's selling lines almost just like regular Joker.
It's a shade darker, but it's pretty similar.
And the design looks different, but personality and like all the things he says, like that fits.
Well, and I totally forgot about the aspect of because like the first time he tells a story about how he got the scars is different from the next time he tells it to Rachel. I like because that's a Killing Joke thing where it's like I don't know where
he remembers his origin differently.
Yeah,
every time.
Exactly, which is a really cool idea.
Yeah, I like that a lot too. That they kind of kept that aspect.
Yeah,
of it
was a cool tie-in.
But yeah, so this was a really great. I'm glad we got this out of the way because this is a classic, movie to talk about, especially when we've been doing Batman stuff. Pretty much the whole podcast, I feel like.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So yeah, we had to get to this eventually, especially the Long Halloween too. So I'm glad we were able to talk about both. This was a really good request. From Bobby because these kind of had a lot to talk about in relation to each other.
I was gonna say Bobby got like premium service because this was a 12-issuer.
Yeah, right. So you got 2 for 1.
Yeah, that's double what we normally cover. So yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, the Long Halloween is not.
Oh, I'm not complaining. It was totally worth it.
Yeah, it's not a chore to go and read the Long Halloween because those 12 issues go quickly because you're like, oh my god, I can't stop now because every issue ends in like a really great moment.
Yep.
And it reads really quickly too. Because like the art, like it's not. That's one thing I wanted to talk about too, because it's not a lot of. You'd expect like a big detective story with a lot of clues to be like excessively wordy. Yeah, but this isn't at all.
Yeah, the art drives it a lot.
Yeah, like every piece of dialogue is like picked carefully and like matters.
Yeah, exactly.
And, like, it's heavy.
It's well thought out.
Right, so it doesn't take up a lot of space, but it counts.
Yeah, and it doesn't ramble.
Right, so I talked about it on the last episode too, but we are still doing some fan requests. I think we still have 2 spots open. So if you want to request your own episode like Bobby did today or like T'Challa did last week with Black Panther, just leave a 5-star review and let us know that you did it. I'll just check to make sure that a new one popped up.
If someone gives us a Morrison thing, I will love you forever.
Yes, we'll cover some Morrison books. I'm sure we'll
eventually we will, but yeah, if someone requests one, I'll love them especially.
Right. But yeah, if you want to keep up with what we're reading or just listen to us, or respond to us or talk to us on Twitter, we're at Agents of Podcast. Or if you want to send in mail, we always read mail on the podcast as well when we get it. Or questions, stories, responses to what we read or what you're keeping up with every week. Like I said, I read almost everything that comes out. I'm just always 6 months behind.
Yeah.
But I read everything.
It's close enough.
I can talk about almost any book.
Oh yeah.
If you want to share our thoughts on different series that are going on. That's where you can find us on Twitter.
Mostly your thoughts.
Yeah, well, Eric's a newer comic book reader.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
You can always try to get him to read stuff.
Yeah, I can chime in.
But yes, you can follow us there if you want to send us mail for us to read. You can send us mail at agentsofcomicbook at gmail.com. So that is our email. I was going to leave the closing thoughts to my cat, but he is asleep in the other room. I get new comic books pretty much like every month or so.
And he loves the boxes.
Yeah, and then so I always replace the last comic book box with one for him to sleep in. It curls up like a little muffin kitty.
Fresh new box.
So,
I know, he popped in here a little bit ago, but he's gone now.
Yeah, I have a new shipment of comic books coming in. I think I have it in the mail right now. I actually can go get it as soon as we're done doing the podcast. I got the new volume of Baby Teeth from Donny Cates, which is like a really cool
Oh, yeah,
book.
you told me about that?
Yeah, it's like this girl gives birth to the Antichrist, but it's like her son, so she wants to protect him. So
That's
it's like a
awesome.
kind of a sweet story.
Yeah.
And then so I'm catching up on that, and I also got Savage Avengers, the first volume of that, which will be cool.
Oh, nice.
So I'm gonna go pick up those books as soon as we're done recording this.
I know, I got my birthday coming up soon. I'm going to just give my mom like a list and just have her give me a bunch.
Buy me comics.
Right.
But yeah, so we'll be next week we're gonna be reading Blackest Night. We have a Green Lantern fan requested, basically a Green Lantern themed episode.
I'm excited to read that.
So we're gonna read the Blackest Night, which is like a big Green Lantern event. It's kind of more. It's a Green Lantern story, but it's basically a DC Universe story. It's an event story.
Yeah.
So it'll involve a lot of characters.
Okay.
So that'll be fun to talk about. And then I think he requested also the Green Lantern movie, which will be fun.
I'm excited for that.
So I've never seen it.
I haven't either. And
So,
I mean, the general
What if we
consensus
love
is
it?
it's off. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to be like, oh, you can listen to us rip it apart. But I'm like, I mean, technically, I haven't seen
What if
it.
we're just moved to tears?
There was one time, okay, I can say it, like way back in the day, like when I was still living at my parents', like in high school, like on cable, it was on, and it was like some random scene of like Ryan Reynolds talking to some dude, and it was just like, I don't even know what was happening, but it was just bad. So I'm not, we'll see.
I'm excited to talk about it though.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah, so we'll be talking about, if you want to read ahead, like you can read all the issues of Blackest Night, so then you can follow it with us. So if you want to read ahead, you can do that. After that, we'll actually be digging into some Watchmen stuff finally. We wanted to cover that.
Yeah, I'm excited for that.
We wanted to wait till the show was over so there was more to talk about.
Yeah, the show's been great.
And then also, Doomsday Clock will be ending around that time too, so we can talk about that fucking book. So,
Yeah, I haven't read it yet, but from what you've told me, it doesn't seem like you're too happy.
I don't like it, but I'm excited to talk about it because I don't like it.
As long as there's plenty of Dr. Manhattan Dong.
Well, if you like that, you won't be disappointed.
Really, they kept that going?
Yeah, that's
They
right.
couldn't let it go?
All right.
Oh, God.
But yeah, we'll be talking about that blue dong in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Next week, we'll just be talking about the green dong, the Green Lantern dong.
Oh, yes.
So join us again. Goodbye.
Yes, goodbye.